We're back with Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I'm your host, Kev Phares, and I am so happy to be talking to you guys today. If you're listening on the radio right now, I appreciate it. But you could also, if you're not driving, you could go to Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, and be watching and interacting with me right there. You could be commenting and seeing my next guest, everybody. I have so much to talk with you about today. In the last hour, I talked about Jason Aldean. I talked about the 2024 predictions with my good buddy Josh Bender, the history teacher. But in this next segment, this show is called Speechless, everybody, right? You know, you've tuned in for a while. You know, I like to cover stories about people that attempting to be canceled and all that kind of stuff. And I got my start in this show and in this business of politics and everything like that, actually with professors trying to silence me on Illinois State University's campus. Well, I have another student who's actually being thrown through the ringer right now. And so to introduce it a little bit, it's Indiana University, a big school. You probably heard of it, the Hoosiers. In Indiana University's student government is specifically harassing this one student. So Indiana University student government is a self-pronounced advocacy organization on their campus. The executive branch and Congress are elected by students, and they are allocated a dollar amount from every student's tuition and fees that they pay to the school. We're pretty certain, me and my next guest, Alex, are that the figure is somewhere between $150,000 to $200,000. So an elected student government has enough power over $150,000 to $200,000 and where it is allocated towards. And this is all student money. It's basically the taxes of the school. Though their student government has done a lot of good things with its money, like support their school's food bank, they have also been a beacon for a radical left virtue signaling forum. They donated $27,000 towards subsidizing Plan B towards students on campus as a reaction to the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And so my guest today actually has been sparring. He is a member of the student government, and he's been sparring with the student government for the reason that he actually is getting a lot of flack for some kind of anti-LGBTQ discussion or something. Alex Poudrier, I'm so sorry, buddy. I am not great at more of a French last name. Thank you for joining me, my friend. Introduce yourself a little bit to my audience. Oh, I can't hear you. I think you're muted. Right now, my friend.
There we go. You should be able to hear me now.
Awesome. All right. Yes, I can.
All right. Thank you, Kevin, for having me on today.
Of course.
My name's Alexander Poudrier. I go to Indiana University, Bloomington. So Bloomington, Indiana, not Bloomington, Illinois. So,
yep. Sister city right there.
There you go. I'm in Indiana University student government, and I'm just on here to tell my story about being canceled. And I'm just here to I want to serve as an example to other students who are going through the same thing that I'm going through, and just show that, like, we're not going to back down, and, you know, like, we're here to stay.
Absolutely. So I want to start off from where this story kind of begins. You sent me a little bit, obviously, about the left-wing activism. Oh, he disconnected for a brief second. We'll make sure he gets back. Awesome. You're still there. So you talked to me a little bit about this left-wing activism that IU has pushed itself into, subsidizing Plan B. Then there was this. It seemed to really be what set the needle over its limit for you. Internal resolution number 1, you sent it to me. And it includes quotes from it, such as they're supporting Pride Month. They cite a lot of statistics, like from the far left radical child mutilation organization, the Trevor Project, which claimed that 45% of LGBTQ youth considered suicide in the past year. They have the census that discusses LGBTQ community experiences. Basically, they wrote this legislation for your student government to support child transition, among other things. Can you talk to me a little bit about why this legislation was brought forth and what you had to say about it?
Yeah, so essentially, like all woke organizations and woke universities, you know, woke companies across the country, IU student government is, you know, trying to join that bandwagon. And, you know, like, essentially what they did was they wrote this resolution as a, like, show of support for the LGBTQ community, which, you know, like, I'm not anti-LGBT. I'm not, like, homophobic or to anything like to that extent. Like, everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. But obviously the issue comes when, you know, they're endorsing the idea of, you know, and they dress it up in this euphemism of, you know, gender affirming healthcare. And it's not gender affirming healthcare. Using, hormone blockers that are used on sex offenders and mutilating the genitals of children is not healthcare. And that's where I really took a real problem with this. So I essentially I took a stand. I said, IU student government endorses the idea that, and they use the word endorse the idea that, of child mutilation, like the general mutilation of children. And I just said, like, hey, this is like Orwellian, and this is just like spreading like wildfire
Mhm.
across, especially like super big schools, especially like Big Ten schools. And like the main issue with this is that, like, they're trying to, like, I have no issue with them, like saying that resolution, like, if that's the sense of like the Congress, then you're not going to do anything to change it. But what I really take an issue with is like when they're trying to censor me, and like censor me, reprimand me, and remove me from my leadership position. And that's like where the real problem is
Absolutely.
taking place.
Absolutely. And so I want to get into that. There was so you also sent me a document in which you're being reprimanded by the student body Congress, and it also looks like they're trying to say that you need to be, yes, in it it says you must be removed as the chair of the committee for student rights and concerns effective upon the passage of this resolution. In this resolution, they say that you had made you had a social media, your social media bio tagged IU student government, and thus any comments made on your social media directly represent that of Indiana University student government. They said that you made comments that promote hate and intolerance and instigate violence. So you apparently, according to your student government in this resolution, is they claim that you were instigating violence towards the LGBTQ community. Can you please explain to me what kind of violence you were supposedly instigating?
Again, anything that you say that's not a threat, I'm very familiar with, the student code of conduct at our school. I've looked at it very intimately, trying to pass free speech legislation, and like, I'm very intimate with it. And anything that you say that they don't agree with is a threat, whether it is or isn't, like whether it is or is not a threat. So, and that's like where I
Oh,
go, and
must have gotten
this is
disconnected briefly. Hopefully, we'll get him back here. You're back. You're good.
I'm back.
Yep.
Okay, sorry. But yeah, like anything that you say, like that they disagree with at the end of the day is a threat, because you're threatening their logic, and you're threatening like their ideas. You're not actually like threatening them, but
Hmm.
you serve as you serve as a challenge to them, because like you are like the only, commonsensical person in the room. So, and it's like it's fine to disagree with people, like, in that discourse should be had, but canceling someone in the name of that, like, it just shouldn't be allowed. And it's just sad to see, especially, in a state where Indiana is a very red state. It's very conservative, and like Ron DeSantis said, like, you have these red states, and they're just letting this all fly. It's all happening. And like, you see states like Florida, like, this stuff doesn't happen, and if it does happen, like, something's done about it. And it, like, red states really need to take charge of their educational institutions, because they're becoming just indoctrination centers. That's all they are.
Absolutely. And so you got, like I said, you're getting accused of instigating violence. I'm sure that this censure that you received from student government is not the only communication you've received from opposition regarding your statements. Have you gotten texts, DMs from people that disagree with you that might be of interest?
Yeah, I haven't gotten like too many. My social media account, Alex Pood on Instagram, ALEXPOUD on
Mhm.
Instagram. Shameless plug. I haven't got really all too much like hate, or like I haven't received any threats. Like,
Well, that's
thankfully,
good.
I think the students, like, they're hopefully not there to like threaten me, and like, I'm thankful for that. But I did, receive some, like, why are you saying this, and all that
Mhm.
stuff, but nothing like threatening.
Well, that's good to hear. I do want to ask, so what is coming out of this then? So are you officially removed from your student government as of right now? Does a vote still need to be held? What's kind of where are we at in this?
Yeah, so the vote does still need to be held, and the main issue that I'm taking with this resolution is that they're trying to cite me under a student conduct violation, which, for those of you who don't know, like, I use student conduct violation, like that's like through the university, not through student government. So they're trying to say like, hey, you violated a university conduct like policy, which is like the equivalent of me going committing like a crime or a misdemeanor in the outside world and being like punished or kicked out of school for that, like it like at school. That it's the same, like
Hmm.
it holds the same weight. So that's what's really dangerous about this. They can reprimand me, they can like try and censor me, they can remove me, like I'll never quit. But when you start going after people through like and you're trying to hold them accountable for conduct violations for exercising their freedom of speech, um, to which like it wasn't a threat or anything like that. That's where it's an embarrassment not only to the student institution, but also the institution itself. And like I just want to clarify, IU Bloomington has not taken any sort of like action against me. They have their free speech policy is really good. This is all the student group,
Well, you
IU
go
student
to, I
government.
mean, it's like I go to Illinois State University. I mean, basically, you go
Mhm.
to a public university, they have a legal obligation to, because they are taxpayer funded, to
Mhm.
uphold the freedom of speech. So if the school came after you in any way, you'd have a phenomenal lawsuit on your hands.
I
Um,
know, I know, I'm totally aware, and the big thing about this is that like we just have to stop letting this happen, especially in red states and in states where like we can do something about it. Like Indiana is very red. Like this shouldn't be a problem. And also it comes down to like at other universities I've seen, I've attended the Association for Big Ten Students, which is like all leadership for students,
oh, cut
and
out a
they
little bit
like
again. I know he's doing this on his phone, so hopefully he'll be right back. There you are. You're back.
okay. So I've attended the Association for Big Ten Students, and which is like all the Big Ten student governments get together and they exchange ideas.
Hmm.
And at other universities, this essentially the biggest thing about this is that the students' tuition money is going towards this stuff, like the Plan B, and reactionary things to like normal legislation passing, which is it's just like ridiculous. Like paying for Plan B for students is just ridiculous, and some student governments are given the responsibility upwards of millions of dollars to like allocate money to student groups, and so that includes like political groups, like it could be Turning Point, it could be College Republicans, it could be Young Americans, like, and that's where this issue comes in, because I've seen, and you'll have schools that their student governments try and withhold funding from conservative student groups because of, and essentially like restrict their freedom to operate on campus, get funding, and like have a platform. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to make sure like like I want to put the word out because it does happen. And at the end of the day, students need to get involved at like the lowest level. Like at the end of the day, like student government doesn't, like, it doesn't mean all that much. It's not going to do, like, whether your changes are like minor or major, it doesn't matter because everything is something. So that's what I'm here to say. I'm here to say, get out there, get involved, whether you're doing a little change or a big change or taking a big stand, and you know stand up for what you believe in and never back down.
Alex back here. Alex, we are on a break from the radio, but I was just hoping I could get you to answer that last question real quick regarding advice to people that are standing up comparably to yourself. Like we just had Andrea in here who filed a lawsuit because her boss told her that she had to get a vaccine. What kind of advice to people that might not be as, it might not be as easy for them to necessarily file a lawsuit or speak out? What kind of advice do you have to people that are might be a little bit more scared of that kind of stuff?
All I was going to say is that, I mean, apologies, my phone died and I have really bad reception,
All good, man.
really really bad mix of conditions here. But all I'm going to say is, like, if you stand up, just stand up for what you believe in, stand up for what's right, and you're going to have people who get behind you and support you every step of the way and admire you for that. And at the end of the day, like taking that first step, taking the dive, that's what leaders do. And I can't recommend it enough. You're going to find the right people who will be there to like support you and will have your back every step of the way. So
Awesome. Awesome. And just real quick before, I want everybody to know as well, you're a member of the military. Okay. We have like a minute and a half left before I get back, or actually just about a minute until I'm back on the radio. But can you just tell everybody about your service real quick?
I can't speak like in that capacity, unfortunately, but
No, I was just wondering about like if I wanted to make sure everybody could thank you for your service, honestly.
oh,
So
okay, gotcha. No, thank you for your support. Thank you for your support. I appreciate it.
absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me, Alex. I'll be in touch with you. I think we're probably going to try to write an article about this through our digital media stuff. And so we can make sure we get all the facts of it right down, to a T.
Awesome. Thank you,
Awesome.
Kevin. I appreciate it. Thank you for
All
this
right.
opportunity.
Of course, Alex. Have a good one. I'll send you this clip, at some point in the next few days.
Will do. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Bye-bye.